Now, a few words of warning on using supernatural forces. It is fun, and it allowed us to do a lot of things that you can't see in real life. I mean, that's why I go to the movies, to watch people bust ghosts or go off to see the wizard. But you do have to be extra careful when using these extra powers so that you don't leave audiences feeling cheated. In ancient Greek times, when they would have plays, oftentimes the main characters would be in a really tough spot, backed into a corner, but then all of a sudden, the gods would come down from the heavens and save them. This happened quite a bit, and the first few times it happened, people actually liked it. They loved seeing the gods depicted in their plays, and they loved being reminded of the involvement of the gods in the lives of the people. But after a while, people were like, I think we've seen this ending already. And it kind of feels like lazy writing. And it really is. So this is actually called Deus Ex Machina. And these days it describes any time magic or any huge coincidence saves a character from conflict. Now, I love the Lord of the Rings books and movies, but so many times when those heroes are stuck, I'm sitting there on the edge of my seat wondering, how are they going to get out of this? And all of a sudden, these giant eagles come from nowhere and then just swoop down and then save everybody. That's kind of Deus Ex Machina. Audiences generally hate this because we depend on stories to teach us about our lives and how to have the best human experience possible. So when we see people in conflict, we relate, we connect to them because our lives are full of conflict. We're excited to see how they're going to solve this huge problem because that might teach us something to overcome conflict in our own lives. So then when some random thing comes in and dissipates the conflict, we feel cheated, and rightly so. Now, sometimes it's okay to start your story with Deus Ex Machina, like if your protagonist is bitten by a radioactive spider, or if a tornado scoops you up and takes you to a magical land of witches and wizards. But be very careful of using supernatural forces or any seemingly random event to bail out your characters, like crazy weather or winning the lottery or slipping during a fight. But Deus Ex Machina isn't the only thing to be aware of when you're working with supernatural forces in your script. It's also important to allow audiences to acclimate to a new world with new rules, especially in a short film. Because the world of the Assurance was so different, we spent the beginning of the film just showing their civilization, letting the audience connect to Cordeia. Then we gradually show a little bit of a fantasy helmet and talk about an evil god, and we intentionally didn't show anything, so it was less in your face. Then we show magic off-screen with Tayani. That's the key, off-screen. It's not like right there, in your face, but you kind of get hints of it. And we kind of assume then after seeing that there's magic in this world. But we introduce that in a very subtle, very gradual way, which can be helpful when trying to convince an audience to buy into this fantasy world. Now, I figured that most of the people seeing this movie would be indie filmgoers, which typically don't react well to fantasy films, at least again here in Seattle. But even if I was making this for Comic-Con or something where an audience would be much more willing to play pretend with me, it's still a good idea to pace yourself with the supernatural stuff. Make them wait for it. Tease them so that when the magic finally is on screen, they feel like it's something that they've been anticipating and are excited about.